we're starting the meeting now at 6:02. Yes, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, justice for all.
and roll call.
That. Renisha McNeil,
Here.
Vice Chair Therese Cologne. Eric Morissette,
Here.
Chairperson Chanel Brown is absent.
Approval of the previous meeting minutes. 4:1, approval of October 7th, 2021 Planning and Zoning Board meeting minutes. 10/7/2021 Planning Zoning meeting, HS edits. Can I ask for a motion?
Motion to approve.
Yes.
Aye.
All in
Aye.
favor, aye.
Number 5, additions, deletions, withdrawals, and continuances.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair, so first things first, I'd like to add a discussion at the end of the meeting under new business 8.1 to talk about the meeting date. As we've been adjusting to the meeting, we might want to make some changes, so we'll talk about that at the end of the meeting. There is a request to table 2 of the items, that is 6.2 and 6.3. We can go in order of the agenda and make those motions later, or you could go ahead and ask for a motion to continue each item individually now, and then they're knocked off the agenda.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, so you would ask for, what you want to make sure is that you ask for a motion and that the file number as part of it.
Okay.
Does the applicant want to make any comments before the tabling? Okay,
Okay, so
Yeah.
motion 6.2,
so,
motion 6.2, from October 7th, 2021 to a date and time certain of October 21st, 2021 at 6 p.m.
we're seeking a motion to table the item,
I'm seeking a motion to table the item,
SCO1.
21 SCO1, the applicant Southeast Investments, location 3195 West Hallandale Beach Boulevard, and the request is a special permit to establish a gasoline station within the parcel B of the Seneca plat item.
So do we have a motion for that?
Well,
Motion to table the
motion
item.
to table.
Have a second? Second.
Yes.
Okay, so the tabling just puts it off
wait.
indefinitely until we need to do
Let me
it.
call, make
Yes.
sure that they're all in favor.
Okay.
So Renisha,
Aye, all in favor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Clarice Cologne? Yes? Eric?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
And so on 6.3, to table and motion the continued from October 7th, 2021 to a date and time certain of October 21st, 2021 at 6 p.m. File number 21SC02, applicant Southeast Investments, location 3195 West Hallandale Beach Boulevard, and the request is a special permit to establish a self-storage facility within parcel B of the Seneca Flat.
Motion to table.
I second that.
Renisha McNeil,
Aye.
Vice Chair Clarice. Eric Morissette.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Now we'll go back to 6.1.
Okay. 6.1 is a continued from October 7th, 2021 to a date and time certain of October 21st at 2021 at 6 p.m. The file number is 21RZ01. The applicant is Southeast Investments, location 3195 West Hallandale Beach Boulevard, and the request is the amend the permit and special permit uses for parcel B of the Seneca plat.
Staff for a presentation.
And I'm asking staff for a presentation.
I have a quick presentation, and my goal of my presentation is to give the overall big picture of the application as well as staff's recommendations. When I am finished with my presentation, then the applicant will present their case, essentially. What I would like to recommend is that you allow me to present 6.1, 6.4, and 6.5 at one time, because they're all interrelated, and I believe the applicant will do the same. Then after the applicant presents, if you have any questions for them or staff, we will answer them, and then you would have to make individual motions for each item. So I'll start with my presentation first. So as you know, there's 3 items in front of you right now. The first is a rezoning to amend the permitted and special permitted uses in parcel B of the Seneca plat. The second is a parking reduction for self-storage facility. And the third is a site development plan for a gasoline station, fast food, restaurant, bank, medical, retail, or office building, and a self-storage facility in what we call the Seneca Town Center. So just some overview. This property is technically located in the B1 zoning district, but in the late 90s and then again in 2003, the Town Commission created essentially what is an overlay for the property that has special uses assigned just for the property that we're talking about tonight and 3 other properties next to it. And these all are from the plat, and it's called Parcel B on the plat. But you can see I'm pointing out the subject property on the screen right now. So this has an ordinance that is in your backup that has the special uses that are allowed. The applicant is asking to amend the ordinance, and I'm going to walk you through that request. So currently in the ordinance, under special permits, you can have 1 gasoline station. A special permit is a zoning tool that allows a use, and the way I like to explain it is, this is an okay use, we just want to make sure how it happens, is what a special permit says. The applicant is seeking to change the ordinance to allow 1 gas station within parcel B without a special permit. They'll go over more directly their request for that, but it could create some business operation concerns, because the way our special permit code is written here in the town, a special permit could be revoked after a year. And is that realistic in 2021? You want a big business to come in and invest, and they have to be worried every year that they might get kicked out of town. So I think there's some reason behind the request. We do have some recommendations that go along with it. The use is being reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Board and then the Town Commission after you anyways, so it is as if it is going through the motions very similar to the special permit. By the same token, self-storage facilities are not listed at all as permitted or prohibited in this parcel B, and the applicant is asking for self-storage to be allowed. Currently, in the town of Pembroke Park, self-storage is only allowed in our industrial district, not in our business district. But again, we worked with the applicant to achieve some design that shields the building a little bit so it doesn't look like your typical self-storage. So for this one, our recommendation is on the screen and in your staff reports. We wanted to use this also to do some cleanup language. Previously, the ordinance was written and it called out specific businesses. That's not good best practices. We don't want to say we can only have Krispy Kremes and Dunkin' Donuts. So it's unrelated to this application, but we're using the opportunity to clean that up. And then highlighted in yellow is the language they would like to add, which is a gasoline, diesel, or natural gas sales motor vehicle service stations limited to 1 within parcel B. The facility shall be located on a corner parcel to provide access on 2 public streets. So that really locks it into the application that you're looking at tonight and gives us some sense of safeguards of what can go in there. And then the next would be adding a number 19, which would say a self-storage facility limited to one within parcel B submitted as part of an overall site plan with a maximum building height as defined within the code of 55 feet. The definition in the code talks about that it's to the flat of the roof, so they can have the parapet that pokes out a little bit. And it states that the exterior storage bay shall not front on Hallandale Beach Boulevard. And that was a special request from staff, from myself. And then in order to do that, we would delete gasoline stations as the special permit in the ordinance. And we want to also add for convenience stores that if it's a convenience store not associated with a gas station, they would have to get the special permit. We didn't want to, we wanted to be very clear that and the truth of the matter is if we go back and look at parcel B, this is the last land to be built out. So short of tearing down what is the former Broward Sheriff's Office, the credit union, or the car wash that's about to start construction soon, there's nowhere else for development to go in. So this ordinance really is addressing this last application that we're seeing tonight.
All the right side.
The right side when you're looking at the site, yes.
Are you talking about the Wawa?
Yes, so this would
And
allow the
So
Wawa.
you would want another convenience store plus the Wawa convenience store?
We're saying if another convenience store ever came in, say they decided to tear down the Broward Sheriff's Office, we would want to, we're saying it can come in without a gas station, but it needs to have the special permit. I don't expect that ever to happen, though. Do you have any other questions about this item for me? Because again, I'm doing the broad overview. The hard questions go to the applicant. That we've already done items 6.2 and 6.3. So item 6.4 is a parking reduction request specific to the self-storage facility. So if for some reason the board does not approve the item I just went over, 6.1, which would allow the self-storage, then this item goes away. But if the self-storage is allowed, they now have the sticky situation of our code would require 203 parking spaces because it's based on square footage. Our code does not have a specific parking requirement for self-storage facilities, but historically, the town has always used the industrial, which is one parking space per 600 square feet. So the proposed square feet of this facility is 121,900, and that leaves them at 203 parking spaces. The applicant is proposing 20 parking spaces. And this is only for the self-storage facility. All of the other uses on the site, the Wawa, the fast food, as well as the office, all have more than is required parking. So when we look back in history in the town, we have two other self-storage facilities that are similar in the way they operate that came in and also asked for parking reductions. We call this, it's not setting a precedent, and a precedent is a previous decision that was made that could guide your decision, but I'm giving this to you for historical purposes. So the one on John Lyons Lane, they have 14 spaces, and that was approved as a parking reduction. And the one on South Park Road, the public storage, has 23 parking spaces. So you can see the proposal here is to come in between the two. One of the things we like to do is look at what our neighboring cities have in their code, and in this case, they didn't really help us. Hollywood, it would be less parking spaces if it was this building going in there. In Miramar, they would need 61 spaces. In Hallandale, they would need over 81 spaces. And in West Park, they would need 7 spaces. So it does line up more in the middle of what our neighbors would allow. So our recommendation is to approve, I'm sorry, I put in the wrong, oh, I'm sorry, this is right. Is to approve this as long as the self-storage is approved as part of the change to the ordinance. approve this as part of the site development plan, which is the next item we would speak about, is to prohibit the lease or use of these parking spaces, these 20 parking spaces for vehicles, trailers, materials, or renting of vehicles, like renting U-Hauls, that none of that can take place. This is for cars that are coming to the building and leaving the building. Don't want it to be filled up with trailers and other things is our recommendation. And that's consistent with other approvals we've had in town as well. And then this, number 4 is a requirement of the code anyways, and it's it's a restrictive covenant. It's just a legal document that recognizes the parking reduction. Do you have any questions for me on the parking reduction?
Nope.
So the last is the site development plan, which approves the overall layout of the buildings, the architecture, the parking in general, and what we call the ingress and egress, how you access the site. Just to give some, the big picture, the adjacent land uses around the property are industrial, multifamily directly to the east, and the business district to the south and west of the property. So it's actually a unique property in town that it's kind of surrounded by almost every type of land use. The setbacks that are required and provided, this is also in your staff report, they exceed all of the setbacks, so they are not seeking a setback variance, so they meet code for all of the layouts of the building. Oh, also the height, the maximum height allowed in this zoning district, and I think this is an important point, is 100 feet, but their maximum height is about 50 feet, and that's for the self-storage. Everything else is much smaller, but they have the ability to go to what we would consider 9 to 10 stories, 100 feet. And so when we review the plans, and this is all in your staff report, we look at pedestrian access to the site. This was something we specifically asked for. Hallandale Beach Boulevard is heavily traveled by both pedestrians and mass transit, and we wanted to make sure that they did not have to walk in through the driveways to get into the site. Instead, there's dedicated pedestrian access to the gas station, the fast food, and the small office building. The landscaping exceeds the code requirements. One of the interesting things in our code is we require new developments along Hallandale Beach Boulevard to do Royal Palms, so they meet that requirement. Our code talks about drive-through lanes. This is also outlined in the staff report for a financial institution, and we're recognizing that office building as a potential bank. You need to have 200 feet for your drive-through lane, or you can have a double lane, both at 100, and they meet that. For fast food, you have to have 100, and they meet that as well. We also worked with them for a while. They mentioned this at the last presentation on the architectural design. It was our request that the entire site be cohesive, so it looks like they all go together, and that the self-storage is somehow camouflaged a little bit to meet the site and offer some interesting architecture along Hallandale Beach Boulevard. For site access, they are introducing 2 new turn lanes along Hallandale Beach Boulevard. That's being coordinated by the Florida Department of Transportation, and we feel that it's adequate, and it also meets our requirements in our code. The plat allows 160,000 square feet of commercial uses, and with the existing other, the car wash that's going in, the Broward Sheriff's Office former building, and the credit union, and this development brings up the commercial uses to 1,051,000, so they're consistent with their plat note. We also asked for a traffic impact study because of the type of uses that were going in there, and it was found that they meet or exceed the capacity of they meet the capacity of the road. They don't impact the capacity of the road. So, of course, we can't always predict human behavior, but the idea is that this would not have an adverse effect to traffic on Hallandale Beach Boulevard, and I think them agreeing to do the two turn lanes helps with that, because people will not be turning directly off of Hallandale Beach Boulevard. So our recommendation is approval of the site plan, and that it's contingent also on the approval of the changes of uses as well as the parking reduction. The third condition of our recommendation is that it shows separate uses in buildings, and if they are to subdivide it in the future, which is my understanding their intent, that they have to demonstrate to us, and it would just be providing 4 separate site plans to staff, that each parcel meets the setbacks, the parking requirements, or the approved parking if the parking reduction is approved. So we just have that on file, because right now it's being approved as one property together. If something changes in that office building that is more intensive use, that it can come back through if we have concerns about it. The paint colors need to meet our paint palette. All signs have to meet the sign regulations, and they basically have 18 months to pull their first building permit. And that's in our code, and that is some typical language, because we don't want to go through all this effort to approve something and then it stay an empty lot. So that if you want this to happen, it's not going to happen in 3 years. We're going to start seeing dirt moving within 18 months. That condition. And that is the end of my presentation at this time. If you have any questions on the technical side for me, I'm happy to answer them. If not, I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Yeah, well, I went to just have a look at it yesterday, and it seems that there already is some building activity going on in there.
So there previously was foundations put in for a project that didn't happen. You haven't started there, so I think maybe what you saw
Probably was.
the old foundations that are there. I do know from talking to the applicant, their intention is their first building permit that they're going to pull is to start doing the site clearing, because there's some demolition, below ground demolition that needs to take.
I remember that you asked about the oil, and they said they had to clean some stuff up from the prior people that were there years ago. So that's going to be a big job. That'll probably take them 18 months. Just
I hope
kidding.
not.
No, just kidding.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Susie, can you change?
That was one that I had. That was the one that we gave to Mark. Here you go. You can pull it out if you want. If I can. All right.
This is probably the clicker.
Yeah,
I have an SSD like back here possibly. Got
that's
it.
the clicker.
That's right. Look at this. So it's that one right there. Sorry about that.
No, sorry about that.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the board. For the record, Brian Adler with law offices at Bills in Sundberg, 1450 Brickell Avenue, Suite 2300, Miami, Florida. I'm joined this evening again with Jeff Zito on behalf of Southeast Investments, Inc., which is an affiliate of Ferber Construction. We did have the opportunity to make a presentation before the board approximately 2 weeks ago, actually exactly 2 weeks ago. And tonight's presentation is going to deviate slightly from that, and we're going to have a lot of the same pictures for the record and go through some of the site plan. At that time, we did share the background on Ferber. We're not going to go extensively into Ferber's background, just only to say that they are an established, proven track record company that has extensive experience in developing developments and centers exactly like this, and exactly for what we're proposing tonight. We deferred last time to go over some technical issues, and the technical issues are relate to the items that you tabled this evening. And those items were
Mine are off.
Maybe it needs to be turned down. His,
I won't turn off. It's weird.
That's okay. We can work through it. So the two items that were tabled were to address essentially the technical issues, and that really go to the request number one, which is the special permit. Which is the amendment to the Seneca ordinance. As Ms. Siegel noted, the ordinance was adopted really in the 90s and went through a wholesale change in early 2000 and 2003. And from the inception, the town essentially said, we have our zoning regulations in the town, but this particular area, this particular parcel, its frontage on Hollandale Beach Boulevard, we're going to treat it differently. So we're going to not look at what the underlying zoning is, and we're going to create this special set of rules of what's permitted on the property. A gasoline station has been listed in the ordinance since at least 2003, and what it said is you can have a single, one gasoline station. What the proposed amendment does is it says you can have one gasoline station. So it's not changing anything that was permitted. It's what is tied to that approval. So as Ms. Siegel noted, it was listed as a special permit. A special permit has certain annual requirements, et cetera, that are a disincentive for developers to invest millions and millions of dollars for national retailers or national entities to come in, because it does have it doesn't treat things as the same as other uses, and it has certain disadvantages to it. So what we tried to do is items 2 and 3, we looked at the conditions staff had, and we said, how can we amend the ordinance so that we respect the conditions that staff had or were proposing originally in the special permit, incorporate that into the actual body of the ordinance, and make it a use and still limit it to one. So what we did is we moved the gas station from what was a special permit allowing one to a permitted use allowing one. That use has to go on a corner, and we are the permitted use. We're coming in, so you know what you're getting right now for moving that. It's not something when they established it in 03, it was what might come. You're seeing exactly what's going to come. And a self-storage facility, in many jurisdictions, that is listed as a commercial use. In the town, it's listed under the industrial use, but again, the underlying zoning doesn't really govern. It's really your ordinance that governs. So this again is saying we can have one self-storage facility, so not multiple, just one in parcel B. And we took the conditions, the maximum height, the bays not fronting on Hollandale Beach Boulevard, and we incorporated that right into the body. So the conditions that the town requested are absolutely respected in the ordinance. And so if you recommend approval tonight, you would be respecting the conditions that were originally in the application. We're in the recommendation. So what I'm going to do is we do have an abridged presentation, and I'm going to go through that. Before I go forward, do you have any questions on that particular aspect? Because that's really item 1. And so the idea was same application, respecting the same conditions, but making sure it's a palatable for financing, for purchasing, for national retailers, et cetera. So this is the site plan. I'm sorry, this is the property, which is 6.22 acres. And again, many of you drive by that every day and you notice the green fence that's on there. And Board Member Morris, that you said you went by there and you saw what looks like there was development. That green fence and construction fence has been there for actually several years. And what you are seeing, as the town planner noted, is prior development that was approved that stalled and did not go forward. And so what you really had is a green fence and essentially non-producing property for the town for years. And that's why I bring up what Ferber again, which has a proven track record in developing this type of product with these type of and with these specific entities that are proposed. We do, as Steph noted, we do stand before you with recommendation of staff approval, and that's not a recommendation that came lightly. This is again over months of the culmination of meetings, changes to plans, trying to ensure that we're meeting with the town's vision, listening exactly what your planner and the town wants. And she has guided you very, very well. And so I think the end result is a product that we're very proud of. There was, just so you know, there was a preliminary matter that went before the town council, and that was for the NVAL, which is basically the access. So the town council has reviewed the access that we're proposing on the site, the modified access, which we will go into a little bit. We do want to again present the site plan. So first of all, and I apologize because I should have been. This is what happens when you give me the clicker now. So the first item is the first item, which is the text amendment again, and it's the operative word is one in each of those uses to allow one storage facility and one gasoline station. So you know what you're getting, and that's this development, and that's what affects the ordinance. The second is the parking reduction, which I'll go into a little bit later, and the second is the site plan approval, which they're really all interrelated. Again, we have staff approval, and again, town council heard, and they saw just preliminarily the access that's being proposed, because we do need to modify the access to improve the access for the site and for the town. So this is the overall site plan, and again, Ferber and the town have been working extensively on this site plan, and just some highlights that we did go over last time. So this is what we presented last time, which is that they're seeking quality national users. And this is part of the reason why we sought the amendment to the ordinance and to table the two items you tabled this evening. First one is on the western side. You do have the convenience store on the western corner, the proposed fast food restaurant. This, which is the question mark, because there's different interests that's for that site, which could be a bank, it could be an office, it could be more retail. We have prepared the plan and done parking assuming the most intense, so that we meet everything in going forward, so that box should be able to be filled with a good use that we present to the town. And finally, the self-storage facility. Focused on the development of this site plan was extensive review of the access to the site. So what you're going to see is, if you drive by right now on the site, you'll see that it's fronting on the street, and there's a single lane. What you're seeing is two deceleration lanes. So you're going to have your easternmost access with a deceleration lane, which, as your town planner noted, that allows cars to pull into the lane to turn into the site rather than slowing down on Hallandale Beach Boulevard, impeding the traffic, and then cars turning in. So this is allowing them to pull into the lane and turn into the site. Additionally, there's going to be a left turn. So if you're traversing Hallandale Beach Boulevard and heading east, you also have the option of turning at the light, but you also have an option of turning in off of Hallandale Beach Boulevard. The second exit, notice there's a second deceleration lane. So you can either turn in on the first one, or if you miss that one, you're not holding up traffic, you get to pull into the second deceleration lane. There is an access on Seneca Boulevard directly into the gasoline station. And what you'll notice is there are 4 uses, and as Ms. Siegel noted, that there may be subdivided in the future. These will have only 2 entrances on Hallandale Beach Boulevard, so they try to internalize the circulation so that you don't. So if these were 4 different sites, which you often would have on 6 acres, and they each had 4 different entrances, that could potentially impact traffic more. This site was entirely focused on trying to come up with a product was aesthetic, functional, and created the least amount of impacts for the town. Additionally, and importantly, this is part of an industrial park where you have a lot of workers in the rear. You have Amazon. You have vehicle traffic internal to the site. And so the idea was, don't force those cars to go back out onto Seneca Boulevard, turn left turn into Hallandale Beach Boulevard. It was give them different access points within the industrial park so they can go in the rear, go have lunch at the fast food restaurant, go back to their office or to the industrial park where they're working without ever having to put cars on Hallandale Beach Boulevard. Go fill up your gasoline, your tank, or you're coming in the morning, you pull right in, you go to the Wawa or the gasoline station, you fill up, you go right out the back and continue to their jobs behind it. So it's really been set up to function in that way. One of the other things that we discussed, and this was this site is not just with the town. We've been working with Broward County and FDOT to try and come up with improvements that not only create, and as Ms. Siegel noted, there's a traffic study that's been submitted, and it's not only that we're not increasing the impacts, we're trying to address existing impacts, and that is creating a dedicated left turn lane. So right now you have this is the current condition, you have 2 lanes, a right lane, but anyone who wants to turn left and go to I-95, which is a tremendous amount of the vehicles, or that want to go straight, they all get caught up in the same lane. So the idea is that this will be 3 lanes that will alleviate a lot of traffic and also will alleviate the backup into the park. And so that's where the additional lane is scheduled to go. So that is the site plan that is.
So you said 3 lanes. Is that part of the median? Are you?
The median's going to
taking
be.
part of the median out?
The answer is there will be a redesign of the median in order to accommodate the additional lane. However, any loss that you see that might be a loss of green there, the site is very extensively and heavily landscaped across. There will still be a median.
Can you save those big palms?
They are going to be relocated on
Okay,
site.
cool.
So, and along with many other. So if you go by there today and what you see is vacant land, or what we wish was vacant land, but it's partially developed, will be a lush landscape. So these are just illustrating the deceleration lanes. And again, internal circulation, not only vehicular circulation, there was a lot of attention made to pedestrian circulation to ensure that there is a safe way for pedestrians within the site to go in between the sites and to go from Hallandale Beach Boulevard to the uses. And so that's what you see with the turquoise colored lines that are in there. That is your pedestrian circulation within the site. So as you go by there today, some of the other things is, and we're going to go into the individual uses, and the last point that you saw up there was landscaping and architecture. If you look today, it's basically what you drive by is a green fence that's a green field with some construction inside. What you will notice from the site plan is the perimeter is extensively landscaped. So as you're driving on Hallandale Beach Boulevard, you've got a deep green space, you've got trees that continue in corner on Seneca Boulevard, and then you have green and trees throughout. Importantly, on the east side, which is adjacent to our neighbor, and then continuing around to the rear. So the first site is the gasoline station. This is the proposed gasoline station, and this has set the tone for the architecture. So as you see, you've got parapets, you've got a nice style, you've got the stone features, and those do carry out through the fuel pumps, etc., on the site. The next site is and these are some of the things we went over last time as well. So the next site is the fast food restaurant. Again, working with the chains to try and come up with something that works for the site as opposed to the standard that would work just anywhere. And that is something that we work with your town as well on to achieve. The third one is the question mark, we'll call it, but the design has to stay the same. And as noted in the recommendation, if the use turns out to be more intense, then it comes back to the town for review again. So this is what's slated. And again, this could be a bank, it could be an office, it could be a cell phone store, it could be multiple types of uses. And the last is the self-storage facility, which I will say the most attention and detail has gone into as far as the site planning process in order to come up with something that looks like that if you drove by and say, oh, is that an office building, et cetera. And this is where we incorporated the conditions from what was previously the tabled special permit to say it will not exceed 55 feet. Your code does exclude parapets and design features from that, and that's with intention because they want to promote design features and parapets. This was not the first reiteration, not the second, not the third. This is after multiple going back and trying to come up with something that carried the architectural theme throughout, but presented the building with, and if you see, it looks like little almost French balconies that are up there, et cetera, glass and features facing the street. But again, also if you look, the west elevation, similar. So it's not just a pretty front and blank walls on the other sides, except for more in the rear, which is facing the industrial park. So right now, when you're driving by, what you see are the blank industrial walls and the industrial buildings, and instead what you're going to see is, I'm just going to go back. So imagine the green fence that you visited, Board Member Morissette, and instead you're seeing and these are the pieces. And when you put them all together, this is the end product that is being proposed.
And I'd like to ask a question about the storage. Earlier, that it could, Heidi said it could go from 4 up to 9 to 10 stories.
So under the code, the actual underlying district allows up to 100 feet. But for the self-storage facility, if you approve tonight, part of your ordinance that you would be approving incorporates. So remember I was saying that what we tabled, we took the conditions and brought in. So instead of being a condition of the approval, it writes it right into the ordinance that the self-storage facility can only be a maximum of 55 feet plus parapet. So this cannot go to nine stories.
Okay, because I was thinking that it would look so.
And that was something that your staff also was concerned with, so that condition was part of the special permit. We took it from the special permit, and our proposal is honoring the intent, the spirit and intent of what was written, and moving it right into the body of the ordinance.
Correct. So we put a safeguard basically in the code. So if this project went away for some reason and someone came in 18 months with another self-storage, it would only be limited to a similar height.
Because otherwise we'll have a parking problem because you will be adding 50% capacity without extra parking, so.
And it's also just the scale, it wouldn't
Yeah,
be
it would
right.
look very dominating.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask one more question about the median. Okay, so when you are,
Sure.
I'm just thinking in my head, like,
What do you want me to do?
There, I think I got it.
okay,
A little bit, or half of it.
okay, so that's going towards Hallandale.
Yes,
Correct.
But left is 95 and right is west.
yes.
Okay, and then that's going to be the gas station in between the two palms.
On the,
Probably
so
the
if you-
Three Palms was gonna,
Okay, but I'm saying like you're going to make a left before the light so people don't have to wait to get into the gas station, correct?
correct, there's actually, from before the light, they can go to the rear entrance. So if I may, and I'll bring this. If you're coming from Hallandale Beach Boulevard, you have the option of turning here or turning on Seneca and turning in on the side. If you're within the park, you have the option of going from the rear and coming in from the rear of the gas station and going right in without actually having to go onto Hallandale Beach Boulevard.
But it's going to be a 3-lane.
2 lanes already.
The lanes are going to go out onto Hallandale Beach Boulevard and not into this site.
Okay. Okay.
as I understand your question, the left turn is
Right.
onto Hallandale Beach Boulevard, not left through the median into the gas station.
Oh, okay, so it's gonna be an extra lane for Hallandale to get to 95.
Yeah, it's gonna take away some congestion that happens at
Okay,
that
I
light from
understand.
leaving Seneca.
Instead of waiting where you see the truck, instead of waiting there all that time, it's already gonna be a
extra
light to be
light, okay.
turned. Yeah.
Which is, the timing is great, because Amazon is about to open their their last mile distribution center, and that's where they're gonna come out. So
There's
the
gonna be
timing,
extra, more traffic.
And if I may, so let's say the truck is looking to turn left, which the series on Google actually does show that, so the truck's turning left. And this vehicle wants to go straight, and the vehicle behind it wants to go straight, and the vehicle behind it wants to turn left. The two vehicles that want to go straight currently have to wait for the truck to turn in order to go straight. And then by the time they would go and they would go straight, the one behind them would likely miss the left turn light. What the third lane would do is imagine shifting this Publix truck over one lane so that the two vehicles that want to go straight have their own dedicated lane to cross Hallandale Beach Boulevard and go straight, so that if there are two vehicles to turn left, two that go straight and two that go right, they each have their own dedicated
So
lane.
it's 3 lanes going out, but 2 lanes coming in
Correct.
on the other side. Okay, that's what
Correct.
I was confused about. Okay, I understand. All right. Thank you.
So, and Ms. Siegel also noted the setbacks. So each of the sites meet their own. So if it is subdivided, meaning if it's financed separately, sold separately, et cetera, they're all tied to the same site plan. So what that means is, and what Ms. Siegel was saying is, they each have to meet their own parking requirements. They all, with the exception of the storage facility, they all exceed the parking requirements, and they exceed the setbacks that would otherwise be required for each of the uses. So they meet or exceed all of the setbacks. And again, you have heavy landscaping in the front. With regard to the parking, and for the parking reduction, so Board Member Moore said even if they try to go taller, the parking reduction is specific to this site and to this plan. And so the 20 parking spaces that are proposed are for the square footage of this building. If they exceeded that square footage, then anything would have to actually comply with the code for over. Ms. Siegel pointed out there were several jurisdictions nearby that she looked at that said that and how many parking spaces would be required. We're providing 20, and I believe the other one, which was a little larger, provided 14. Extra Space says they're based on their use, they probably need about 8. Our traffic consultant went conservative and said 12, and then the developer went even more conservative and said, we're going to provide 20. I did an analysis of some other cities, not just the adjacent ones, and just to give you, based on the size of this property, in the city of Miami, the required parking would be 15, 14 for the use and 1 for the office, so it would be 15. In unincorporated Miami-Dade County, that size would be 15. In Doral, it would be also 15. Oakland Park would be 11. So you're within the range. You're actually, what we're proposing is exceeding what most places require. I want to differentiate between the parking reduction and a variance. Your code has a specific section that's entitled parking reduction, because what they say is we can't address every single parking use in the town. We're going to group them together, but if there's a use that is grouped with others that really needs less parking, we're setting up a procedure called a parking reduction where it comes before the board and the town council. You have to do a traffic study and follow the guidelines, and then it's reviewed and approved. As Ms. Siegel noted, this is calculated with regular industrial. So that's why which is 1 per 600, which is where you get the 200 parking spaces, which the last thing you really want is a sea of 200 parking spaces there. The town code says, wait a second, we know that certain uses, like self-storage facility, because the town has evaluated another one, require less parking, and so they set up a procedure. That's not a variance, it's actually a procedure that's contemplated specifically by the town, and so we've gone through that procedure. That's this procedure that we presented, and again, we're seeking 8 spaces more than the 12 our own traffic study provided. Each of the other sites do exceed or meet independently their requirements as well. So, Board Member Morissette, you had mentioned that you went by the site and you saw that there was construction there. And that green fence has been there for a while, and the town probably knows that better than any of us. And so you may be saying, when might Ferber retire that green fence and come in with the development so that there's actually something that is going to go forward? So if I can just advance a little bit. So this is an anticipated project timeline. So we have the town approved the NVAL, which was that access, so the change in the access to accommodate the deceleration lanes, okay? So to say, not to have a straight front on Hollandale Beach Boulevard, but to have deceleration lanes. They went before the DRC committee, which is your technical committee, to make sure that it meets the technical requirements, et cetera, of the town, and that went on September 27th. We were here before you on October 7th. Tonight is October 21st, so this would be the Planning and Zoning Board 2. We are scheduled for 2 consecutive hearings. Because we are changing the ordinance, that requires 2 readings, okay? The site plan approval requires 1, the parking reduction requires 1. So on November 10th, the first reading of that ordinance is going to be presented to the town council. On December 8th, the second reading of that ordinance with the parking reduction and the site plan are going to go before the town council. And then Broward County, so I mentioned that the town approved the NVAL. Now that goes to Broward County Board of County Commissioners to approve the NVAL. The NVAL is the non-vehicular access lane. So that's just that's the changing of the front of the property, and so that goes before them. After that, so then what? They're still going through FDOT and Broward County. There are other committees that have to review this. If it was up to Ferber, it would be much quicker, but there are processes that have to go to because there are multi-jurisdictional disciplines that are involved. The town, the county, and the state. The town, Broward County, State of Florida Department of Transportation. There are site permits. They are already going through the dry run or meeting the process with the building official. They're doing everything they can to move it forward and aggressively to try and make sure if there are issues with you want things changed or this doesn't, we want to make sure we address it and meet it now. They anticipate the site permits in February of 2022 and the other town building permits sometime in later 2022. And then what happens next? Groundbreaking, probably in spring of 2022. Site construction, so groundbreaking is usually with the clearing, et cetera, and you have it on the site. The site construction in the summer or the fall, and vertical construction, when they start going up, is probably in 2023 or 2024. The sooner they can do it, the sooner they will. They're seeking to move forward, obviously, as quickly as possible. They are the contract purchaser, so they are looking to own the site, not to lease the site. And so when they acquire the site, they will be the ones who are owning, at that point for the development purposes. So again, this is what we're here before you. We are here for questions, and we respectfully request your recommendation of approval of the requests 1, 4, and 5, and the tabling of and you've already tabled 2 and 3.
I have no questions. A lot of reading, though.
No question here.
Okay. Trying to, you hear me? Okay, thanks. Because I have a slide that will help you through the motions.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for staff?
No.
Oh,
Okay. That's theirs.
Yeah.
Yep. So I've put in, under each item, you've already done 2 and 3. The motion basically, approve with the conditions in the staff report. Because you're making a recommendation to the town commission, it's okay not to go through every word in the staff report when you make the motion. You can just reference the staff report. So if you want to ask for motions, you have to make sure that you're identifying the file number and then ask for a motion.
Staff recommendations, file number 21RZ01. Permit and special permit uses for parcel B of the Seneca plat. Recommendation approved with conditions and staff report.
So do we have a motion to approve
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
with the conditions in the staff report? So Mr. Morissette made a motion to approve with the conditions in the staff report. It was seconded by Ms. McNeil. And the board secretary will do a roll call vote.
Okay, so the motion you said was made by Eric, seconded by Renisha, right?
Yes,
Vice Chair Therese Cologne?
yes,
Yes.
or no?
Yeah, yes.
What you, I needed to clarify that for the YouTube audience, that I wasn't telling you how to vote. I was guiding, you and I were making eye contact and I was guiding you.
Eric Morissette
Yes.
and Renisha McNeil.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Staff recommendation, file number 21SE.
Nope, we want to go to PR number 4, because we've already tabled the
Oh,
other
we
two.
tabled,
Yeah.
okay. So, number 4, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so item 6.4, file number 21PR01, requesting parking reduction for a self-storage facility in the recommendation approved with conditions in staff report. Is in motion?
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
With the conditions in the staff report?
Exactly.
Yes, thank you.
I second.
Yeah.
Okay, motion made by Eric, seconded by Renisha on item number 6.4. Renisha,
Yes.
Vice Chair Therese Cologne,
Yes.
Eric Morissette,
Yes.
motion passes.
6.5.
And then 6.5, file number 21SP05, and the request of site development plan for a gasoline station, fast food restaurant, bank, medical, retail, office building, and self-storage facility in the Seneca Town Center with recommendation approved with the conditions and staff report. And I'm making a motion.
Motion to approve with the conditions in the staff report?
I second with condition in staff report.
Thank you. Motion made by Eric Morissette, seconded by Renisha. Eric Morissette,
Yes.
Renisha McNeil,
Yes.
Vice Chair Therese Cologne. Motion passes.
Thank you. So we'll move on the agenda.
Thank you very much for your time and consideration this
Welcome.
evening.
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
So we're in the old business? Oh, we did that.
There's no old business.
New?
New, 8.1. So at our first meeting, we discussed the setting of a day for the meetings, and we came up with the first Thursday. And as we've gotten up and running, there's some conflicts with staff and other deadlines that we have that the town attorney and I discussed this, and we're going to ask if we could change to the first Tuesday of every month.
Okay,
We're staffing 2 boards between us.
so that date is,
So first, if I just need, this is an informal discussion, as long as no one has standing obligations the first Tuesday.
I'm flexible.
Okay? I feel like Tuesdays came up originally. That's why we're talking through it, so let us know.
I just feel like Thursday worked better for me
Right.
with how I can fix other stuff. I mean, I'm fine with the Tuesday. It is just not a must that I'm here every Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, this is our biggest application to date. I do think we might have a meeting in November. Wednesdays are fine as well. It's just the Thursday, because we have the town commission meeting next Wednesday, so we have major deadlines
No, I understand.
like today, so it just gets a little hairy, and because it's
So the
me
commission-
and the,
Commission meeting is Wednesday of next week.
so the commission meeting, remember, this isn't our normal meeting date, so
Right.
we have the commission workshop the fourth Wednesday of every month, and we have the charter review committee the fourth Monday of every month. So this Thursday kind of starts to back into all of that. So just trying to take it off today is what, or, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I have to, I'm sorry, I'm saying this backwards. So I have to get my agenda stuff out while we're doing the other meetings is what happens. So if I have a little breathing room between the two, that's how it happens.
It's fine.
Wednesdays better?
No, Tuesdays is fine. It
Okay.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
I would just, if we stay at that day,
Yeah.
it's just best so I can.
You know it, you can plan for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't see the changing
Okay.
happen again. This was a trial and error for us. If you recall, when we first met, there was no standing time or date for these meetings. I know from my years of experience, the applicants like to know we have a set, just like you're saying,
Yeah.
the applicants like to know that, and it's easier for me to manage the materials. So doing it, backing up into that commission meeting, generally, it's a little difficult because
So we're thinking about what Tuesday, first, second.
it would be the first Tuesday of the month, because the second Wednesday of the month is the commission meeting, and that's where I'm backing up into. I'm sorry, I was saying it
I get what
backwards.
you're saying because we're like at the last.
Right,
end.
so we've had a workshop, then we have charter review, and then we're getting ready for our commission meeting, and this is in between all of that.
Okay, so the second Wednesday is the commission regular meeting. The fourth Wednesday is the workshop. And then the charter is the fourth of
Monday.
Monday.
So
of
if
the
we
month.
could be the first Tuesday
For planning and zoning.
for planning and zoning.
Okay. Fine.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
It works.
Okay.
Is there a motion to change it?
The motion is for
I,
Tuesday.
yeah, I think just by a consensus vote,
And it's
All
at,
in
at
favor?
6.
Aye.
Aye.
it's, if 6 works for everyone, we'd like to keep it at 6, so it doesn't get too late. And the hope and the goal is after this project, we're going to be busy. We want to see more projects, so we hope to be busy and have a structured meeting schedule.
I just want to wear the hard hat
Okay.
on the groundbreaking.
You'll get it.
Gold shovel and hat.
Gold shovel and hat. Great. So if there's nothing else, if you want to ask for a motion for adjournment, unless you all have anything else to discuss as a board?
Can you give me the date?
Yep,
The first one,
yep.
That would be for
Second?
November?
November 2nd.
Sounds right. Let me look at the calendar again. Yes, November 2nd. I anticipate we might have a application that day. I met with someone the other day. It's a really small one. So you'll know, because this is a special meeting, we'll let you know by the middle of next week whether that meeting's going to take place. I tried to get that information to you, at least the agenda, at least a week before, and then the reports.
And the paperwork.
Let me ask you, how did that work out? Are you okay with the documents in email, or do you want the staff reports delivered to you printed?
I like them printed, or we could pick them up,
Okay.
like at a meeting or something.
I'm a tangible person.
I'm a paper, I have to read it because,
Yeah.
and it's so technical.
But if it's too much for you, like,
No, not at all.
I can,
I mean, if it's a small,
I'm saying to deliver.
Oh, no, we have staff to do it. We do it. Susie and I did it together. So, yeah, that's, yeah.
if it's something
It's fine.
small and
So it will always be me or her. We did it together
cool.
the first time so we could find everyone's homes. But it will be either myself or Susie, and we'll get them to you.
If it's something small and not as big as this one, where it's so much paperwork, it would be fine online for me, to
Okay.
be honest. But if it's something, as big as this, I would like it more.
Yes,
I
the
like to- I
plans,
like
you-
to see
the
it.
plans for now, you will always get
Their
in the
plans.
paper, right? The big set of plans, because I can't depend on you all, having big monitors. I wouldn't put that on you, and I want you to look at the plans. The next one might be 4 sheets of paper with a letter and some pictures behind it. That we'll use our good judgment. And you can always reach out and say, hey Heidi, can you print this for me? No problem.
And we can meet with you or something.
Absolutely, I encourage it.
Yeah, and are they coming back?
Not to you. They're going to the town commission. Yes,
Okay,
so they'll be at the town commission on the 10th with just the rezoning application the first time. And then they'll come back the December meeting, which I believe is the 15th, with all the applications. Yep. All right, you guys are so easy and dedicated, and we love it, and we really do appreciate your time.
Studied hard, and then it was easy.
Yeah. You
Once
thought,
you get a roll
I
of
scared you with that. I've been giving you a quiz threat, huh? All right, so if there's a motion for adjournment,
Motion for adjournment.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.